I'm Smári McCarthy. I'm a free software developer and technologist, and generally work in those places where technology and politics are colliding at relatively high speeds. The most of the work I've been doing in the last couple of years has been kind of oriented at trying to understand how to help people make better decisions for themselves by giving them more access to decision-making capacity and decentralizing the control over technology and kind of the core infrastructure of society. So in 2008, the economy of Iceland, which is where I'm from and where I grew up, the economy collapsed quite spectacularly. And in the aftermath of that, one of the things that a lot of people started to talk about was that the constitution that we have in Iceland was essentially a 19th century hand-me-down from Denmark that wasn't ever designed to build the kind of society we see in 21st century Iceland. So some people, pushed quite hard, and eventually the government agreed to start a constitutional process, trying to get as many people as possible to submit ideas into what would become a new constitution. The constitutional process ended up producing, I would say, the best constitution I've ever read, and I've read several dozen constitutions, but it never passed because of essentially, when it came right down to it, the political influences in Iceland decided it was not okay. The kind of history of how people make decisions has always been the history of people with lots of power, lots of land and property and such, essentially deciding the rules for everybody else. One of the things that I really look forward to and see as being possible with the internet and with global telecommunications is that smaller groups of people with less kind of historical power can use these electronic mechanisms and use just their distributed communication capacity to make decisions for themselves without necessarily always having to go through traditional historic landowners or kings or presidents or whatever, and just cutting out all of these middlemen from the decision-making process. We can do that by using a lot of different methods, and most of them don't really exist yet, but building those is kind of where we need to go next.